For too many years, families of children with devastating illnesses have felt helpless as they watch their child suffer. Today, they're taking matters into their own hands and finally finding relief treating their child with cannabis. These are their stories.
Welcome to another episode of Love and Cannabis. I am Nina Simmons.
And I am Osiris Steffen.
And we are the proud parents of Aiden Steffen.
Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode.
Hello.
Hey. I had to borrow that. I'm sorry. That's her usual
Usually
cue.
I say hello.
You know what? There's a song in my head that got stuck. Hello. All right, never mind. Hey, guys. Welcome again to another episode. Tonight's guest we have is Mark Neumann from Livingston, Tennessee, which is interesting because the only thing I knew about Tennessee was football and cops.
So we're really excited to learn, to have him and learn a little bit about Tennessee and what you guys are doing over there.
Oh, also Jack Daniels, if I'm correct.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
All right. See, there you go. There you go.
Like, yes.
It's down in southern Tennessee.
Oh, Southern Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know, we're in northern part, so everything is south for us.
That's true.
And also that I just wanted to mention that you're also a veteran, you and your family. And so I wanted to say thank you for your service.
Yes.
We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate
Sure,
all vets.
Yeah, so you guys have opened up a CBD store in Tennessee. I mean, with the military background, I'm really curious to find out, like, how did that all come about?
I have no idea. No, it really was nothing we planned to do after our time in the military. Our plan after we were done with the military was to move out here to Tennessee, live a quiet life, do some fishing, do some traveling, things like that. And then about last February, March is when things changed. That's when we got introduced to CBD because we started using ourselves. And before that happened, if you had asked me what CBD was, I would have thought it was another government agency or something like that. No idea what it was. I was familiar with other things that most people are familiar with. Marijuana. Mm-hmm. That term, cannabis. I always thought that cannabis was just marijuana. It was the same thing. Mm-hmm. And so, later on, of course, cannabis is much more than just that stuff. And so last spring, when we had our own personal experience with using this stuff, later on, it just morphed into an opportunity to open up the store.
Wow. So may I ask you personally, why did you start using, you and your wife start using CBD?
I started using it. It was kind of a weird situation. When I started using it, our son was living in North Carolina, near the coast there in Morehead City. And he was working at a Walmart there. He was in charge of their online grocery department.
Nice, yeah.
And when I started using it, it had a growth on my collarbone, on my skin. It came out of nowhere. And it grew from nothing to about the size of a pencil eraser in about 2 weeks.
Wow.
So I made an appointment with the VA to see a dermatologist, and I think it was like a couple of weeks. They had me scheduled to go see them. And there was a CBD store probably about 40 miles from here in the next biggest town close to us, about 40 miles away. And because I heard about it, I don't even know where I heard about CBD from. But I decided to try it. It's one of those things that if you would have known it was going to be such a life-changing moment when you realized you were going to do something, you'd probably remember exactly how it happened. But I had no idea that by going to that store and buying some products and using them, that was going to have such an impact. Like when 9/11 happened, everybody knew where they were, what they were doing, and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So the exact day when it happened, what was going on, I don't remember because I really didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I started using just a little tincture, the CBD oil tincture as a full spectrum. In the evening, I would put a drop on that little spot and put a Band-Aid over it. I don't even think I was putting the tincture under the tongue at this point. And I did this, and after, it was before my dermatologist appointment. I think it was about 3 days before the dermatology appointment was set. The thing fell off.
Interesting.
And so I called them up and I said, hey, the reason I was coming, the whole thing, it's gone now, completely gone. There was no pain. There was no soreness, no nothing. And, so they said, well, without anything to look at, there's really no reason to come in. And I said, well, if it ever comes back, let us know. And that was last March, April, somewhere around that time. But at the same time that was happening with me, our son in North Carolina started taking CBD oil. I think he heard about it from a friend or something like that. He has really bad eczema on his feet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had really bad eczema on his feet. So he started taking a tincture and administering under the tongue, and it started helping with his eczema. And now he really doesn't have any symptoms of eczema at all anymore.
Wow.
And so that cleared up that for him. It cleared up the spot on my skin. My wife was started taking it a short while after that, every once in a while, and she noticed it would help her sleep better through the night.
Mm-hmm.
But she doesn't really have any ailments or anything like that going on. So with her, there was just that was the biggest thing that helped with her. Now later on, when I started using it consistently, because we started looking into it. What is the CBD? Started doing research, reading about things online. And then when we thought about maybe starting a business with this, I went out to Nashville. I went to about a half a dozen different stores out there that were selling CBD products. And I would talk to customers who came in there and ask them, why are they using it? Does it work? And in what form are they taking it? And I met so many different people. Some people were smoking it. Some people were taking the tincture. Probably one of my favorite guys that I talked to, between his back and both his knees, he had about 15 surgeries.
I know people like that, yes.
Mm-hmm. He was a professional paintballer.
Wow.
And I didn't know that existed until I met this guy. And he was in such pain. He had chronic pain, and he was hooked on opioids. And he was using CBD for at least a few months, maybe a year when I met him. And he totally got off opioids, and he was using the gummies. That's all he was using. He would take one gummy a day, and it would manage his pain for him.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but even then, I wasn't convinced.
Exactly. Yeah, that's natural, actually.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a skeptic when it comes to a lot of things.
I know how you feel.
So we started doing more and more research. We started. What really blew me away when I heard about the endocannabinoid system and what that was, and why I haven't heard about it until this point right now. And I know a few doctors in town. And so I started asking them, hey, can you tell me what you know about this endocannabinoid system? And they're like, the what? None of them knew about it. I was like, well, and then it just boggles my mind. How can you go through medical school? It's not their fault. So it just shows you how maybe the way the system leans. But how can somebody go through all those years of medical training and not know anything about the endocannabinoid system? Now, granted, it hasn't been around that long that we've known about it. I guess, late 80s, early 90s, somewhere around that time period. So we started reading about that. We started looking at a whole bunch of other stuff. And even at that point, I wasn't convinced. And what really convinced me was somebody's dog. Because, with people, you have the psychological impact of, you've got this product, you really want it to work.
Placebo effect kind of thing you're talking about, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
But there is no placebo effect when it comes to animals. So I was talking to this person, they were giving it to their dog. They had, joint pain, joint problems. It was an older dog. And the dog was moving around a whole lot better. It was really working for their pet. So I started talking to more people with pets, and sure enough, it worked like a champ. So I was talking with my son. He was still in North Carolina, and he wanted to change anyways. He wanted to quit Walmart and start something new. So we told him, well, hey, quit your job, pack up your stuff, and move out here. Then a short period after we moved out here, we talked about maybe just starting an online store. And but then the opportunity came to buy one of the storefront buildings in the little town here in Livingston, right there on the town square. And at that same time, our son, he had a job opportunity to go work for Dollar General. They wanted to hire him on and set him up to manage his own store in the Cookeville area here. So he had to think about, well, does he want to do that? And so we sat down and we talked about it. And we're like, hey, this is how many times do you get a chance in life to start your own business and do something like that? So we decided, hey, let's give this a shot. Let's see how this works out. You can always put in a job application somewhere else if this doesn't work out. And so we pulled the trigger, and here we are. We opened up a store. We started a website, and he knows a lot about computers, so he was able to set up the website himself.
Hey, Mark, quick question.
Yeah.
Who came up with the name Lake Time CBD Solutions? Was it you, Denise, or Casey?
That's a good one. Well, the place we bought here, this property, like I said, hey, we moved here. We're on some acreage. We're right by a lake, and our backyard view is the lake over here. And I always used to joke with my wife when I was out here building the house, and she was still, this was probably about 3 years ago. She was still in the Navy. She retired in 2018. So I would come out here for a month at a time and do some work on the house and everything. And she would always ask me, well, why does it take so long to do certain things? And a friend of ours, well, that's because you're out here. When you're out here, you're on lake time. Because things just move a lot slower because you're relaxed. You're not worried about, the pains of the day, the busy things that you have to get done in life. You're out here, you're relaxing, you're on lake time. So,
Nice.
given the certain, some of the things that CBD do for people, with anxiety, the relaxing benefits from it, the calming effects, we just decided, let's do lake time.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's how we came up with that. It was actually a friend of ours that actually coined the phrase that when you're out here, you're on lake time. So that's where we got that from.
You're not paying him any royalties, are you?
No.
So what kind of, when you guys are decided to lay out this store, how did you guys come up with the idea of like what products you were going to carry, whether you're going to do edibles, or you're just doing tinctures, or, how did you start building up your inventory? Did you like kind of fish out there for companies? And if the companies you wanted, what was your criteria in picking them?
Well, when we were first starting, we didn't know if we wanted to actually start producing our own oil and making our own products. And then when we started looking into that, just the startup cost for that was enormous. And so like, wow, that's a pretty big investment if we want to start actually producing our own products. And then Casey, his idea was, because he worked at Walmart, he wanted to start producing his own products. And then we decided, well, let's do it. So we started looking into that. It was actually a friend of ours that, he And he's like, let's set something up, kind of like the way Walmart is. They have a bunch of inventory, all kinds of different products, and it's hard to find it at a lower price than at Walmart, in a lot of cases. And so we decided that, we were going to just kind of go with that business model. We weren't going to make anything. We just decided that there's already a bunch of people out there who are doing it right. They're making excellent products. So, why reinvent the wheel? And people are making really, really good wheels, and it doesn't cost that much to put it in your store. So the criteria we looked for was we wanted a company that was here in the United States where they grow all the hemp that's used for their products. They grow it themselves. They actually produce their own products. So they grow it, they make the oil, and they make the end product themselves, and they package it all here in the United States. So that was the criteria we're looking for. And we found some really, really good companies. Earth Hemp is one of the companies we do a lot of business with. There's a company up in Illinois who are they're originally locals from the Livingston area down here. But it's kind of a long story how they ended up in Illinois via Colorado. So when Colorado opened up for the whole marijuana industry, they moved out there. They started a company, and they were producing things for the industry out there. And then when the 2018 Farm Bill made hemp legal everywhere, they wanted to come back home to Tennessee. But there was an opportunity up in Illinois where I think they got like free land up there or something like that from a relative to where they can grow. So they decided to do their growing and producing up there in Illinois. And they produce some really, really good products. They're called Banner Harvest.
Banner Harvest.
Banner Harvest, yeah. So they're a small company. It's a husband and wife operation. And they make some really, really good products. And then another company is right here local, Birdstown, Tennessee, called Mountain Hemp Farms. The guys over there, they're a seed to shelf company, just like the other two are. They put the plant in the ground, they harvest it, they make the oil, they make all their products. And so we buy directly from those three companies. There's a couple other ones we deal with. Another company, Funky Farms. They don't grow their product, but all of the oil that they use in their end products is grown in the United States. So we let them slip in a little bit. And there's a couple of other small products that we carry here and there. But basically, whatever that product is, the hemp has to be grown and processed here in the United States.
Got it. So when you open your doors, now you have customers come in. What are the demographics, and if you can tell me, and also what are they in there for? Like, what is it they're going through? They feel that they could use the CBD oil.
I would say most people who come into the store are looking for some sort of pain management. We've got a few people who are pretty severe. They've had back injuries where they've had 2 or 3 nerve ablations already. Some of them had surgeries. There's one guy who has some sort of degenerative bone disease. So he uses it to manage his pain. But for the most part, most people come in for arthritis pain relief, or if they've had some sort of injury in the past, either a car accident, things like that, where they've had pins in their bones. Let's see, what other, anxiety, sleeping problems, things like that. I would say pain management, anxiety, and getting a good night's sleep are probably the 3 major reasons. And, every once in a while you have other people for other things, chemotherapy management to deal with the nausea and stuff like that. There's probably one of my favorite stories with this was there's a woman up in Ohio, and she was a nurse, and she's had 2 back surgeries. And she's been dealing with her back pain for over 30 years. And for the first time in her life since she injured her back, since she started using one of the tinctures, as a full spectrum tincture, she has no back pain.
Wow.
But the real amazing part is she literally only uses eight literal drops a day.
You know,
that's how much she uses. That's it.
For some people, less is more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For some people, less is more.
You're right.
I mean,
and
yes.
And there's some things coming out now that I've read that the more you use it, in some cases, the less you need to take.
Well, yes, because it builds up. It builds in your fat cells, so it's fat soluble. So, like say vitamin C, that's water soluble. The body through your pee will flush out a good amount of the vitamin C or whatever you don't need. But with CBD, they're finding that it just builds and it just grows. The amount just grows. So like you're on it for years, you may not need as much as your initial dose that you were taking, whatever, 5 years ago or whatever, 2 years ago.
Right.
Wow.
Yep.
What was
we had one case. It was an interesting case. I never met the woman, and I only knew of her for a short period of time because this one kid that worked with a friend of mine. Okay, let's try not to make this too confusing. His girlfriend's grandmother. So my buddy's friend's girlfriend's grandmother. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
She had Parkinson's.
Ooh.
And I gave a buddy of mine, because we make filtered tubes that kind of look like a regular cigarette. We use some of the trim to make those filtered tubes. And I gave some to a buddy of mine to try out. And he gave some to his friend that he worked with. Well, he took them home to his girlfriend's grandmother. And she tried them, and she would smoke about half of one of these. This is just the trim in this smoke. And she'd smoke about half of it, and her tremors would go away for about 4 to 6 hours, depending on the day. And that's just off the trim. So I never got a chance to meet the lady. And ever since then, I think the kid broke up with his girlfriend. So I don't know if he even sees her anymore. But yeah, it helped with her tremors from her Parkinson's.
What was the one client that came in with something that you didn't even think it would be used for? The CBD would be good for using.
There was one. It wasn't really a client. My wife gave this guy a jar of one of our topical salves for this guy, because he was an older gentleman, and he made furniture. And there was this desk that a small little tabletop that he made that my wife saw. I don't know, it was Facebook or something like that. And she went out to their place to pick it up. And the guy and my wife's, she's a nurse. So she got to talking with this older couple about the really bad skin rash that this guy had on his shins. And he was seeing dermatologists for about 8 years. They would, prescribe him this, prescribe him that. He tried over-the-counter stuff. Nothing helped with the rash on his shins. And it was pretty bad. I saw pictures. There were open sores. It was bad. And so my wife said, well, when I go home, I'm going to mail you a little jar. It was a little 2-ounce jar of the salve. I think it was the stuff from Banner Harvest. And the guy started using it. Within 2 days, his skin started to clear up. After about a week, maybe a week and a half, his skin was completely cleared up. And he hasn't had to go see a dermatologist since. So that was one thing that I wasn't really sure if it was even going to help or anything, but it cleared his skin entirely up. That was pretty amazing.
That sounds amazing. Oh my God. I know he was completely surprised and happy at the same time.
Yeah. I've got a friend of mine who has, he's got disc problems in his back. He's got a torn rotator cuff in one shoulder. He has a torn muscle away in the other shoulder. And he uses about a half a dropper of let's see, 1,000 milligrams. So he's taking about 15, 20 milligrams a day of a full spectrum oil that we carry. And he says it doesn't take away all his pain completely, but he's able to work.
It takes the edge off, probably.
Still earn a living and function. And so it's pretty amazing with some of the things it works for.
Attention Cannabis Podcast listeners. You can now listen to your favorite cannabis podcast ad-free with the MJBulls mobile app. Just download the free MJBulls mobile app to your smartphone to start enjoying cannabis podcasts with no commercials. Go to Apple Apps or Google Play to get the MJBulls Cannabis Podcast app today.
Have you have any customers that come in with any type of lung or pulmonary issues?
We haven't seen any who come in specifically for that, but our friends up in Banner Harvest, there's a few people, I think it's 3 or 4 people up there who they're dealing with who have had COPD. And what they've told me is these people started taking their full spectrum oil up there. And after a few months, there was one of the persons actually started going back to work.
Wow.
I think that was the one. They were actually on oxygen. They had the oxygen tank. They had to carry one of them all the time.
Yes.
They're no longer using that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's talking about
COPD,
function of life.
From what we're told, there is no cure for it. And maybe there still isn't a cure for it, but I mean, obviously COPD, like a lot of other things, it's an inflammatory problem. If correct me if I'm wrong, but that's from what I know of. It's an inflammation in your respiratory system, right?
That's correct.
Mm-hmm. And these people are just taking the tincture. They're not inhaling nothing. They're just using the tincture under the tongue. And over a period of time, it's able to bring their inflammation down in the respiratory system to where they can function better.
When you hear this, and people are benefiting from what you have and what you're offering, how do you feel? Like, what do you think? You're like, oh my God, I guess this is my calling. Not to say you got the big statue of Jesus in front of yours.
It still amazes me. It kind of freaks me out a little bit because, there's still some days I'm still not entirely convinced for some reason. I don't know why. It's just, I know it's not a miracle thing.
No,
it doesn't cure everything. It doesn't work for everybody. I know of a couple of people that it didn't work for.
We know people too.
But I don't know. It just seems like every time I hear somebody, they'll come into the store, or I'll talk to them on the phone, and they say, "Oh yeah, my knees feel better. This is better," and I get blown away every time. And it really is. It's just a simple product to use. It's an all-natural product. It's a non-addictive product. I don't know. There's only one case that I know of where one of our clients had negative symptoms from taking one of our products, and they were using a tincture, and it was what is it called? It was like a 20-pound dog. It was a small dog that was using it. And it wasn't a person, but our only client that I know of that had a negative experience was a dog. Somebody bought some for their dog, and I think they might have been giving the dog too much.
Yes, that can happen. Yeah.
And the dog was just being really lazy. It was just really relaxed.
Oh.
A little too relaxed.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I don't know if they just stopped giving the oil to the dog, or if they cut the dosage down. I'm gonna have to ask my wife. It's somebody that she knew. So, but that was it. Nobody else has had any negative symptoms or reactions to it. Everything's been positive. So.
Now, are you hearing from doctors in the community saying, "Look, you're cutting into my business"?
No. Actually, a good friend of ours, he's a doctor here. And when we told him we were opening up the store, he was very skeptical. And so I told him, well, come on by one day. He came by, we showed him what we had. And most people are they're mostly skeptical about the smokable stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's only good for getting high. Okay. And, I told him, I said, listen, just look into it, take a couple of weeks, look into the endocannabinoid system, go to, what's that website called? There's the NIH.gov. I think it's Science Direct. They've got a lot of publications on their website. And he spent a couple weeks looking into it. And when I talked to him after that, he says, you know what? I think you really have something here. And to be honest with you, what you have here is better than 90% of what I can prescribe somebody.
Really?
Doctor. Yeah. Yeah. So he's all on board. When we first started out and we had to get bank accounts and a loan for the building and all these other things, we heard all the horror stories about, you can't get bank accounts, nobody will do business with you, you're on your own, it's just cash and all this other stuff. We went to, I was telling you earlier, my buddy who got the emails in November, we went to his bank and, just put all the cards on the table. This is what we want to do. And they were very supportive. They said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So we were able to get banking right away. And the community has been positive. Haven't had any negative response to opening up a CBD store, with all the hemp products also. Even the chief of police, he came by, invited him over to take a look at the store.
Oh, a good idea.
He's very happy with it. So, everything's as far as the community goes and all those other things, it's been pretty positive.
I would think the police officer would probably want to come back because they wear a heavy belt, and I know that his back is eventually going to give way to that.
Yeah, probably. And actually, I just talked to him the other day because I guess probably the grayest area we have in this business is the smokable product. And so I wanted to make sure that anything that we're selling as a smokable product isn't over the line when it comes to legal stuff. So I was looking at different test kits where you can do a field test with some buds, break a little bit off and do a test right there. And with a couple of minutes, you have results. And so I was talking with him about that, and I actually found some test kits that we can use. And so if they ever have to test, if they pull somebody over for a regular traffic stop and they've got something in their vehicle that looks like buds, is it marijuana, is it CBD? Well, they can use one of these simple test kits to verify that, hey, person is using something completely legal. Don't worry about it. As a matter of fact, I think here in Tennessee, in the last year, they came out with some guidelines that if it's a half ounce or less, regardless of what law enforcement thinks it is, even if they think it may even be marijuana, they're like, just walk away. Don't even bother with it.
I think New York has similar guidelines that came out in 2019 as well, which is a good thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my response is, when I was talking with them last year about it, I said, when I asked him, I said, you've seen people who are high. And he said, yes. I said, I've seen people who are totally stoned. When somebody's stoned. And if somebody's stoned, right, they shouldn't be on the road driving. So if they have stuff in the car and they're not stoned, don't worry about it. So maybe they're just going home. They might use the product when they get home. Yeah. And of course, if it's a CBD product, you're not going to get stoned off of it. But they're loosening up the guidelines.
I mean,
there.
that makes sense. What you said makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just a matter of the information getting caught up. I think something that a lot of retailers should start thinking about is holding like educational sessions for the community itself, for those who are on the fence and not understanding, especially if they have neighbors or friends who are using it. They would like to, they're curious, but they're like, no, I think it's the devil's work. Well, come and sit in for a class and really learn something about
The devil's lettuce.
Yeah, exactly. The devil's lettuce. And that would be great for the police department, the mayor, the community itself, and so they can understand and support it because it is a business and it's also taxed and it also helps the community on both ends.
Yeah.
You know?
And I try not to be hard on people like that because, hey, just a couple of years ago, I was that person myself. Cannabis / marijuana. The only purpose it was there for was to get high. That's all I knew about it. When I was in the Navy, there was at two of the commands I was at over 6 years. I was the guy who drug tested people, random drug tests. I was the guy who did it.
You're that guy.
Yeah, I grew up, listening to Nancy Reagan. Just say no.
Oh yeah. I remember those commercials.
And some of the punishment for just having a small amount of marijuana on you when I was growing up as a kid was really severe. You can go to jail for years.
Yeah.
And have your life ruined.
And your family
so I stayed away from that stuff completely. And I wasn't going to jail. And so, the way things are going now, I think the biggest part of it is education. And if I'm sitting talking with somebody and they're skeptical about the whole thing, all I ask them to do is I said, listen, don't believe a word I say. And even your listeners, don't believe anything I say. There's so much information out there. When somebody tells you, CBD, hemp, we're unsure about it because there's just not enough information out there. Baloney. There's tons of information, and it proves how this stuff works. But what I tell people is, I want you to look up the reasons why cannabis was illegal for all these decades in the first place.
That's a good one to start with, yes.
That's what you need to do. And then if you research that, and if you look into all the things that happened in the early 20th century that made cannabis illegal, and if you're not even just a little bit ticked off, then I don't know what to say.
I was infuriated. I was like,
yeah.
I mean,
and that was probably one of the biggest driving factors that convinced me that there was actually something there with the whole hemp and CBD industry. Because when I found out the truth behind why cannabis was made illegal in the first place, well, there was no common sense or real reasons why the stuff was made illegal in the first place. It was just a group of greedy people making policies and laws so that they become, you know the stories, and most people know the stories. And anybody who's listening, look up why cannabis was made illegal in the first place. You'll find out a lot of information, and it's a little upsetting. So
it is. Let me ask a question now. Basically, as we think about this, how supportive has your family when you decided to do this?
When we first started, I would have to say I've got 3 brothers. My 2 younger brothers were pretty much on board. My oldest brother, he was a little skeptical. I think he's still a little skeptical. He said, what are you doing? You selling weed? I said, no, we're not selling weed. It's CBD, it's hemp. But, I gave him the rundown on it and stuff like that. And his kids knew more about it than he did. But, like you said earlier, it's an education thing. When people get educated about it, when they look into it, when they look at the research, when they look at the peer-reviewed papers, there's really something to it. So it's I don't think this is going away. As a matter of fact, I think the last 4 or 5 years and the next 4 or 5 years coming up, this 10-year window, I think we're going to look back on this as a real critical time in human history where we actually just rediscovered something that's been around for thousands of years that I think people used to use it a lot more in the past. And it's really just this thing that happened in the 20th century that have made a few generations completely ignorant of what this plant can do for you. So I think we're just rediscovering it. I think things are going to change for the better. So I think it's all going to become legalized here within the next year or two federally.
I hope so for you guys, because it'll definitely be a help and a boost to the economy.
I think it was one of your podcasts you had a guest on who knew some people in DC that were saying that they
yes.
think might be made legal.
Yes.
Federally here in a short period of time.
Yes, it
That's
was.
correct.
I think it was Leo.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time. So it'll definitely help, like I said, the economy. Now, if people wanted to get in touch with you, especially around your neck of the woods, how would they be able to get in touch with you?
Just come on by. You want the address? No, I'm kidding.
No.
Your email address or website or anything like that you can share.
We have a website. The store, if anybody's here in the Tennessee area, we are literally on the square in Livingston, Tennessee. The storefront is called Lake Time CBD Solutions. And the website is called laketime.online. We don't have a .com. It's www.laketime.online. And we've got tons of products on there. Really, top quality, top shelf products. Our goal when we first did this, because we believe medicine shouldn't be expensive. It should be affordable. And so when we started this, we wanted to make sure that we can sell this stuff to the community or anybody who comes to our website for the lowest prices possible. There's actually a lot of items that we have on our website. We sell it for less than the companies that make it. They'll sell it on their website. In a lot of cases, we sell it for less on our website than they do. And that was another criteria that had to be met for us to carry a product, is they cannot control the price we sell it at. There were a few brands out there where it was a good product, we liked it, they met all the criteria, but then they told us that we cannot sell it for less than their MSRP, their retail price. We said, okay, well, I'm sorry that we don't do that, because we want to sell it for the best price possible.
Wow.
And so,
can people buy directly from your website?
Yes. Go to the website, and when you go to the website, if you sign up for our rewards program, you'll get, bad business owner here. It's either 10 or 15% off. I can't remember.
That's okay.
But if you go to the website, you sign up for the rewards program, you automatically get a discount right there. And for every $10, for every $50 you spend, you get 5% off your next purchase if you choose to use your points. Nice. So, for example, if you spent $100, you'll get a percentage off on your first purchase, and all those dollars that you use, you can use them to get a discount on your next purchase. Our customers actually average a little more than 10% savings every time they purchase something.
Wow.
Say the website one more time.
It's www.laketime.online.
And
Nice.
my last question for you. Now, does any of your proceeds go to the veterans?
No, we don't have any. We're not that big yet.
Okay. I can understand that.
But we do offer additional savings for veterans, active duty military, first responders.
Awesome.
They also get an additional discount if they purchase anything.
Oh, that's good. That's definitely awesome, because I know that everyone's trying to support the vets because they need that support.
Yeah, and we do actually we do free shipping on a lot of products.
Oh, wow.
If it's over a certain price, and we actually just started carrying Delta 8 products also. I don't know if you're familiar with those.
Yeah, I was just actually talking to someone about that. So how did you guys get involved in that?
I was just kind of by accident. Casey was doing some research. When he's at the store, if he's not busy doing something actually with the store, he's usually doing research on the computer, looking up different stuff, and he came across this Delta 8. And so we decided we'd look into it. We tried a few products. We were pretty impressed with it. And so we decided to, we don't carry a whole lot. We just carry a little bit. We want to see how it goes. And but for somebody who has really bad case of insomnia, or if their pain management is above the level of what maybe CBD or a hemp product can do, the Delta 8 might be a good product for that, because it's one of those gray areas in the industry right now. I don't know how familiar you are with it. Are you too familiar?
I don't know that much about it. Can you explain to us about Delta 8 quickly?
Well, Delta 8 is similar to Delta 9.
Like THC?
It's a THC.
Okay.
When you look at the molecule, if you look at a drawing of a molecule, there's just the one carbon compound is just a little bit to the right. And that itself, it changes it entirely. But what makes Delta 8 legal is that it's a compound derived from a legal hemp product. And the way the laws are written is, if it is derived from hemp, anything derived from hemp is a legal compound. So Delta 8 is derived from the hemp. Now Delta 9 THC is different. No matter where you get Delta 9 from, depending on what state you're at, it can be illegal. Like in Tennessee, any Delta 9 above 0.3% is illegal. But when they test for THC, it's Delta 9. Well, Delta 8 is a completely different product. It's a hemp derivative, so it's completely legal. And it's legal federally, too.
Oh.
Yeah. So now what we do is, if somebody wants to go to our website and order a Delta 8 product, they have to make sure that the state that it's being shipped to, that the Delta 8 products are legal in that state. We won't ship to anybody in a state where Delta 8 is illegal. So that's just something somebody has to make sure that if they're going to order it, they can't have it shipped to their state if it's illegal. Like, ironically, I think Colorado, hemp-derived Delta 8 is not legal.
Really?
Aren't they recreational?
Yeah. I don't understand it. I think it's because they try to keep all the THC, the marijuana type THC, and the hemp type completely separate. So I don't think it's illegal in a marijuana product. I think it's only illegal in a hemp product, if that makes sense.
It doesn't, but
yeah, I was about to say the same thing. I'm like, no.
I guess if yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But,
I guess it is what it is.
We'll just roll with it. All right, whatever you guys want to do. You're always changing laws anyway. We'll go with it.
But here locally, we don't really talk to a whole lot of people about the Delta 8 stuff. We have our customers who come in who are dealing with real chronic pain. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones we talk to about it.
Makes sense.
So it helps them manage their pain.
Gotcha.
Awesome. Well, Mark, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining us and sharing with us. And also, congratulations on your endeavor and opening up that store and helping the community out. Mm-hmm. Anytime you're up in our neck of the woods, definitely, give us a shout. We'll take you on a tour.
Yeah. And we learned
don't hold your breath.
Well, we're wearing masks. Close enough.
I don't know if I'll ever make it up to New York, but I don't know. Maybe someday. My wife, I think my wife's expressed an interest in maybe going up there someday. So we'll see. Maybe after this whole mess clears up.
Yeah, whenever the storm clears. But thank you. We learned so much from you today, and I really appreciate you coming on our show.
Yeah, it's been a real experience, and this whole ride, and I appreciate you having us on, or me on, and. If I can just say one more thing to your listeners, is don't listen to anybody. Do your own research.
Yes.
And then make your decision. Because if you do the research, you'll figure it out.
That is so true.
That is so true.
Thank you
and then
again.
once you figure it out, you can come to our website, and you can't find a better price for CBD products. I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah, we're on your website right now. So thank you.
There you go. Very good.
All right, buddy. Thank you again for coming out, and tell the family we said hello, and congratulations on your shop.
Okay, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.
All right, take care, and thank you again for your service.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.
All right, good night.
Thanks for tuning in another episode of
Love and Cannabis.
I'm Osiris Stephan.
And I'm Nina Simmons.
Be strong.
And stay empowered.